From study aid to sales call game changer, welcome to the Be the CEO of Your Life show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Today we're going to talk about something that I am personally very excited about, and everybody I speak to gets also very excited. So I didn't want to withhold this information from you, but we're going to talk about an app that has already made a lot of impact in my life, in my business, in my personal life. And I'm very excited because I have Hinrik here with me. Hinrik, can you please introduce yourself to the people?
Absolutely, and thank you, Yvonne. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. So I'm Hinrik. I'm founder and CEO at Atlas Primer, and we have taken upon ourselves to rethink education from a different perspective, and the human learning potential, and how we can maximize learning for as a diverse group of people as possible.
I love that. Yeah. And we met through the Octopus movement, which is a great movement. If you haven't checked it out, I highly encourage you to do. And it's where a lot of neurodivergent people go. And my daughter is dyslexic, and you told me about your amazing app, Atlas Primer. And that's how it all started. Tell me a bit, how did the app started? Because I think it's an amazing tool.
Well, thank you. And you mentioned neurodiversity, and that's, of course, a big part of our journey. So I'll come to that as well. So I've been building AI apps for about 20 years now, and specifically voice interfaces. So back in 2005, I built a voice assistant for Windows, and I was just amazed by how intuitive and natural it was communicating with the technology in this way. But the technology wasn't really there at that time. But nonetheless, it was very profound. So fast forward a few years, and after a career in AI and business analytics consulting, I get the opportunity to teach at a local university. And the first thing I did there, of course, was to build a voice assistant that would be my assistant teacher. And this was back in 2019.
Mhm.
And it had one simple task. It was basically just there to read out the learning materials and answer questions in my absence, because I only had 24 hours in a day and wasn't always available, but the assistant was. And the students absolutely loved it. And they told me it was a very natural way to go through materials. They also had a busy life, so they could now listen a lot more. But a really um, impactful moment for me was when I realized that this was having an outsized benefit for students who are neurodivergent.
Mm.
And upon reflecting on that, I saw that students who are neurodivergent with dyslexia, ADHD, or even on the autism spectrum, they often have to work, 3, 4, 5 times harder than everyone else just to get the same results. And it's not because they have hard time learning. It's because the educational system, the way we built it, is just too exclusive. So it only caters for one type of learning, and effectively excludes all others. So this is where we really found there to be an immense power and potential in a conversational learning platform. So that's basically how Atlas Primer started. And since then, it's grown from being a learning assistant to be a corporate learning platform. And now with our latest edition, a conversational role-playing solution that helps people train everyday and professional conversational scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are basically three. Well, there's more than three, but three main categories in the app, right? One is to help you learn easier with flashcard and summaries and the likes. I don't know why my image gets blurred constantly. And the other one, let me do it like this. And the other one is, like you said, where and I've used them all, so that's why I'm very excited. And I will get to the sales part because I like that actually best, But the other one was where I just took one of my workbooks and it instantly was transformed into a course. And I do want to emphasize this because that's the reason why I said one of my clients was talking about, oh, I want to make, a course out of this. And how do I go about it? And I said, oh, you need Atlas Primer. It's like, instantly. And that got me thinking because I constantly tell my clients they need to work with your app. So I just wanted you to have an opportunity to share that with them. But I really love how easy it is. Someone else loves it, and how easy it is to make the materials to learn from what you've already drafted. Can you, before we go into the role plays, can you tell me a bit more about how that works? Because I really think people need that, and it's a shame if they don't use it.
Yeah, well, thank you for the kind words. Well, essentially, the ultimate goal is to create individualized learning experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And now, of course, we have ChatGPT and other AI apps that do this very intuitively. But they are often pulling information from what we would consider general knowledge. So it's what they've learned by crawling our internet. What we wanted to do was create an extension of someone that has something to teach, but help them automate it so they could save time and not constantly be creating materials, but rather they would be communicating their unique experience or perspective. So effectively lowering the barriers for people to teach. And the way it works is that you can upload pretty much anything, any source of information you have. It could be a recording of you speaking, it could be a PDF, it could be a video, audio recording, or a website. And often these are in very inaccessible formats. So
Mm-hmm.
Atlas Primer, it goes through that information, it understands it, and it restructures it in a way according to our pedagogy, which is as micro learnings in short bursts of information, not more than 2 minutes each. And then with a little bit of interaction in between. So you're not just consuming it, you're also applying it to some extent. And then you can also turn it into flashcards and there are quizzes and you can ask questions about it and it's going to give you answers from the materials. But everything is dual text and voice. So you can read anything and you can listen to it. You can type and you can speak. So we had to rethink the interface from the ground up because we are very prone to digitalize outdated processes. So we like to give young kids tablets at school, but then they don't have any apps that are meaningful. So, but we think that we modernized education, which is of course not the case.
Yeah.
So we wanted to take enough steps back to rethink from different principles. So how would we approach education if we would have all the technology that we have today at our disposal? And that's pretty much what Atlas Primer is.
Love that. Yeah. Yeah. And for me it was really very helpful. I know that I got very excited, and it's a good thing that there is so much to really help you. And that's what I like for entrepreneurs. We're always so busy. We never have enough time and we want so much. And it would be a shame not to share this amazing tool. Um, but now on to the one that I'm I'm excited about everything, but this was really a game changer for me. And maybe it's nice to share a bit of why it was a game changer. Um, Last year I decided I have a very big goal and I want to reach that goal, but to reach that goal I need more leads, I need more appointments, I need more sales calls. So all of a sudden there was a very big emphasis on sales. And I knew that I had to step up my game, and I knew I had to basically practice sales conversations. And I was in a training with other people. It was a global training. So I found that many people were in a different time zone than me. And I tried to set up calls and never worked. And I got very bummed. And then I think you and I were talking about it. I don't know, or you told me about it. And then there came Atlas Primer. And I was just, wow, okay, because for me, it solved a lot of issues because honestly, I just wanted to get better at sales. And I knew that the way to go was to practice it, like in real life. And I still remember one of the first time I practiced, I closed the deal, so to say. I, by the way, practiced on you, and it constantly said that I mispronounced your name because of my accent. And then I closed the deal, and it gave me a score of 8 out of 10. And I was like, why do I get an 8 out of 10? I closed the deal. I'm happy I've got a new client. And then the feedback was so valuable because it told me you needed a lot of words to make your point. And when you need a lot of words to make your point, you're very often seen as not as secure. So if you can change that, most likely people will buy even earlier. And that was just one of the experiences that really blew me out of the water. But before I get on and on, tell us more about this amazing tool that is in Atlas Primer as well.
Yeah, so you're talking about the role play app, which is another one of our products. Although they are all interconnected in some ways, and they all serve the same mission, basically, which is to empower us people in some way. But yeah, so Atlas Primer Roleplay is a platform where you can build pretty much any conversational scenario. So you mentioned sales, but there are also negotiations. There are also situations where you need to resolve conflicts. You might be practicing for a job interview, or you might be just meeting casually with someone. And then you create a scenario and you create the goals of the scenario. So in your sales scenario, you might want to get the next meeting. In a negotiation scenario, you might want to get someone to agree on a compromise or your terms, or something in between. And then once that is fully constructed, then you create a persona that you're going to practice against. And then you can create a fictional character, and the AI helps you do that. The AI today, and this applies to almost all AIs, like ChatGPT and Claude and others, they have read all our history books. They have read all our psychology books. They have studied our internet. They know a lot about us. So they are able to very accurately assume the role of whatever character that we want. But if we want to be very specific, then we can import information from LinkedIn as well. So we can just practice talking to that individual. And then it's the feedback, which I agree is the most valuable. And lately, we've been working a lot more on the feedback. So the feedback gives you a score on how well did you do in the scenario in general terms, how close did you get to reaching the goal, and then it also does an analysis on the tone and tonality and the voice of how you speak, if it was friendly or professional or empathetic. And then it gives you also feedback on what you said during the conversation and tells you how it changed or impacted the trajectory of the conversation. So when you said this, the conversation took a positive turn or a negative turn, and here's what you could have done instead. So a lot of it is also coaching, but just on a very, very specific, in a very specific area, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really brilliant. I also I had a conversation with someone on LinkedIn, like in the inbox, so to say. And the person said, okay, I'll go on a call with you. But he was very skeptic about everything I told him. He was like, no, it's not going to work. And I don't want to, but all right, then. It's almost like, all right, then I'll go on a call with you. So I already knew that this person was being very, reluctant and very, I don't want to do it. And my natural thing is either to then, over explain and, oh, it's so amazing, which doesn't work, or to become like, well, then. So it's like, okay, I really need to practice this. And I practiced it. And I practiced it a couple of times. It was so helpful for me that I must say, because of that, I closed the deal when I spoke to the person immediately. And it was just already practicing with someone who wasn't really, most conversations, and I'm talking about a sales conversation now, but most sales conversations, someone comes on the call with you because they're interested. And I already knew that this person was very reluctant. And it was it was very, very helpful for me. Yeah.
Glad to hear that. But you hit a very, very important point here, which is that sometimes we just need the repetitions because it's a muscle that needs to be trained, and um, it's very noticeable when we get objections, whatever they might be. They might be administrative, like, for example, let's talk next quarter. But all of these are obstacles that can be navigated, but they need to be navigated in a specific way. And to do that naturally, we need to train that, just like we need to train anything else. And there's also an increasing demand and need for something like this. And if you think about, for example, all of the advances that have happened lately in with AI and automation, there are so many things around us that are becoming automated. So if we are trying to sell something, let's just stick to that example. It's my favorite use cases for this. Um, we are now competing against everyone else, and everyone has the access to the same AI that helps them write the best emails, do the best analysis, do the best follow-up, do the best prospecting, to create the best landing pages, to have the best social media presence. So everyone is on equal footing in this regard. And this is 90% of the sales process. But what about the 10% at the end? That's where the human to human interaction becomes important. And that's what we want to help people maximize. So we want to help people go through those iterations as often as necessary to be completely comfortable in any situation that can occur, so that we can absolutely capture as much value from these few human to human interactions that remain as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you emphasize that, because that's a common fear, right? The fear is, okay, AI is taking over everything, and how can I almost compete with AI in my business? Because some people will tell me I'm not that AI savvy, I'm just a bit scared of it. Other people will kind of do very negative about AI, which often is also based on fear. Um, and I love that Atlas Primer is actually using AI to make us people better. And I truly believe that that is what will make us stand out as well. Not so much as avoiding AI, but using it to get better and to improve.
That's how I think AI should be used. I mean,
Yeah.
it can automate a lot of things around us, which is good, and these things usually should be automated anyway. It's not as rewarding as many of the other things we can do. So we can then focus on what's most impactful. But the, our environment, our society is changing. We are at the cusp of probably the biggest societal and behavioral change of our lifetime. So a lot of things around us are going to change, and we're going to have to adapt. And this is where, the only thing that the AI is not going to be able to take away from us so easily are these human to human interactions.
Mm.
So I would not be surprised if we're entering a time where we are going to see, we're going to come back to these more frequent in-person meetings, having lunches, having coffee, going for a walk. We have an office in New York, and this is where we would typically, go out for a steak or something, with clients, and that's kind of the dynamics these are the dynamics that are coming back. So when everyone is equal in terms of the quality of their emails and outreach and landing pages, etc., it's like, what's the differentiating factor? And that's why we need things like role play, where we can practice role playing and we can really nail these situations where we have to be at our best. We have to deliver the information in a concise and effective way and portray confidence while doing it.
Yeah, I think the confidence is also really important. But I'm thinking about it. What if I'm really bad at sales conversations? I'm just starting out, and I just generally stutter a lot, don't really come across very confident. I might not have that experience. How does Atlas Primer help me then?
Constructive feedback.
Hmm.
Basically, I would say if for those who are bad at sales conversation, there's just more room to grow, and Atlas Primer helps them do that. So there is an adaptability built into the system. So it's not gonna give you a hard time for not being 99% of the way to being a perfect professional if it senses that you're just starting.
Hmm.
So it's going to adjust in real time, and then you can get a few repetitions in, and then it becomes a little bit harder with practice.
That's nice. So it really adjusts itself. I
And
really.
this is coming back to the diversity of the human experience. We are all different in so many ways, so the adaptability becomes very important. It would be excluding a lot of people if we would have a predefined definition of where people should start. So we make it adaptable, we make it accessible, so people can just start where they are, and then they can grow just constantly over time to reach whatever goal they have.
I love that. So I've showcased the website, and where everybody wants to go. It's atlasprimer.com. Um, and Hinrik, tell us a bit about you and your journey as an entrepreneur. Tell me one really good thing and one bad thing and how you overcame it.
Well, I would say that they're probably related. So I would say that I'm quite mission driven. I
Mm-hmm.
have a very specific view of a world in which I want my two sons to grow up in.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how the world is today, so that's what I set out to build.
Yeah.
And that is how Atlas Primer started, as an attempt to make the world just more inclusive to the diversity of humans, and also in the process create more opportunities for people. But I found that building a business around just the ideology does not work.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a business element here. And I found that, coming back to the second part of your question, I would say probably the most profound realization that I had was just to get people to pay for whatever you're making. If you get people to pay for it, you know that you're solving an important pain point. A lot of people will take things for free, but if you ask them to pay, and this is sometimes hard. I come from Iceland, which is in the north, and we are very introverted here. We do not talk about ask people directly to buy things. But fortunately, I have a company in the US, so I had to adapt to a different reality there. And there you just ask people to buy. And this is something that I wish I would have learned earlier and been better at, because it really tells you whether or not you're solving an important problem or not.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, Hinrik lives in Iceland. I find that always very exotic. I know Iceland isn't necessarily exotic with palm trees, but for me, it's very exotic. Um, so yeah, but it's true, and it's also really funny that sometimes you have to ask for things, whereas your nature would not be to ask for it. But by asking for it, you get quicker feedback, and you actually know where you stand.
So
So
true.
yeah, yeah, and I remember the conversations we had about how this beautiful thing you built, and then it really solves an issue, but somehow people saw the need, but then apparently something extra had to come in for people to really say, oh yeah, now I'm paying for it. Um, Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm very excited that you built this. Is there anything? What's next for Atlas Primer?
Well, we're gonna continue innovating new ways to use AI to empower people and create new experiences. And now that we have figured out how to, turn it into an effective business model,
Mm-hmm.
we are much more deliberate in what we're putting out there. And this is a very it's a very good thing for innovation in general. I think to have this type of method to know if you're solving an important problem or not. Because if nobody is willing to pay for it, then maybe it's just not that important, or you're not doing it right. So it's a very important feedback, and getting to that quickly is very important, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can be painful to discover, but rather find out in the beginning than when you are so many further in, and it can be then very disheartening. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, I agree. Okay, before we wrap it up, Henrik, any other comments from your side or things you want to share?
Uh, no, not really. I just want to encourage people to try our products,
Yeah.
and see what they can do with them. Most of them are geared towards corporate use cases,
Mm-hmm.
but there is also a lot of room for individual users. So I would just love for people to try it and give us feedback and tell us what we can do better.
I love that. All right. So the website is here, atlasprimer.com. So please go check it out, and let us know what you think. You can find Hinrik on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, on all the other platforms, and just tell us your thoughts, because we would love to hear from you. Hinrik, thank you so much for today.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Yvonne.
And if you've been watching this, I truly hope you're going to test it out, because I know sales is critical to grow and to scale your business. If you want to scale your business and you want to make it more simple, please reach out, because we can help you. We can get you more clients guaranteed, and I would love to speak to you. Thank you, and see you all same time, same place next week. Bye.